What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Investing Bros. It is Thursday, September 14th, and not as much news today as we had yesterday, but we still got some big stories, some things happening on the charts. So make sure you don't go anywhere. The big news in the last 24 hours is a judge approves FTX's ability to go ahead and liquidate over $3 billion worth of their crypto. What will that mean for the crypto markets? There's a lot of different altcoins on that list. Does this mean that we are going to be plummeting in price coming soon, or is this going to be a nothing burger story? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more in this video, so make sure you don't go anywhere. Smash the like button, and if you are new here, please consider hitting subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in to Investing Bros this morning. We go live every single weekday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Make sure you guys are subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single piece of content. But with that said, I am joined this morning by my good co-host, Mr. T. Shroom from down in Florida. T. Shroom, how are we feeling today?
Oh, man. Better than I deserved, Tim. I didn't realize I was a good co-host this whole time.
You are a good co-host, yeah.
This whole time,
I was going to do your performance in a private meeting, but I was like, you know what? Let's do your performance review in a live show. And I thought that was the appropriate thing to do, you know?
Yes, I like it. I like it. I'll send a thank you note to HR. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, yes, I do have a quote of the day, and today's quote is actually coming in the form of audio, so I may have to jimmy it a little bit, but we'll give it a shot. Here we go.
Season 6, Episode 20, New Girl. Watch this.
Dream job, sure, it comes with a great salary and a vaccination for the coming elk flu, the flu that you're going to be hearing about for the next decade.
The flu you're going to be hearing about for the next decade, Tim. That was from New Girl. I don't know what year. It aired in 2017, apparently, that episode.
That episode?
I was watching that show last night, just casually. I like the show New Girl. It's very funny, very pep.
It's a funny show. Yeah.
Very laid back. And that was Megan Fox's line. So, I don't know. Tim, do you have any thoughts on that quote of the day?
That's an interesting one. That is a show with a lot of quotes, but I did not think that would be the quote. What did she say the name of it was? The flu?
Elk flu.
Elk flu. All right. Well, they can't get everything right, but that's interesting. That is interesting that they say that. There's probably some truth to it. But interesting quote of the day, T-Shroom. I don't really know how I feel about it necessarily, but it is what it is.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and jump on in here. By the way, my finger's doing okay, T-Shroom. Those of you guys who don't know, last night in our Twitter spaces, X spaces, whatever you want to call them, literally, like as we were going live, I shut my finger in a door, in a heavy wooden door, and it was pretty rough. But it's not freezing up or anything. It's not like swollen, so that's good. That's good. DC and Prey says the beaver flu. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Elo Brown says, Tim, do you have any thoughts on T-Shroom liking that show? I do. I like the show too. Put a 1 in chat if you guys like New Girl. I, for a while there, joked that Nick was my best friend. I identify a lot with Nick from New Girl. If you don't know the show, that's all right. We're not going to talk about it that much longer. So we're gonna move on here and jump into some of our economic data. Remember, guys, if you guys want us to do some name reading, you got to get us to 100 likes before the end of the video. So go ahead and smash that like button. Let's take a look at what's happening this morning. So PPI numbers came out today. Of course, we had the big CPI, but let's just change one of those letters to P. PPI came out higher than expected as well, up at 0.7%. After last month, it was 0.3. Consensus and forecast were at 0.4, so higher than expected. Then you mix that with retail sales, higher than expected, up at 0.6, previously at 0.5, so it's not that far up from last month, but the expectations were between 0.2 and 0.4. What does this mean? This is actually something that's a little alarming, although for right now, this is good for the economy. It's probably good for prices, but when you see these numbers continue to go to the upside, guess what this means? This doesn't change the fact that we're still seeing income go to the downside. In fact, I saw a tweet this morning. Let me see if I can find it here. Maybe I didn't save it, but it was from Pomp. I'll go. That's another one I'm going to talk about later. But we're still seeing the income drop for everybody. But when you see retail sales and PPI continuing to go to the upside, that means people are still spending money like nothing is going wrong. Now, again, for right now, That's not that bad for the economy. That means people are still spending. That means we could continue to move to the upside. The problem is what happens when that credit card debt, which is already at record highs and is already way too high, what happens when that keeps going to the upside and eventually that bubble bursts? That is not, as Piper put it good. Piper just said the economy is not doing better than it deserves. No, it is. Well, the truth is actually, now when you say it like this, Piper, the economy is in fact doing way better than it deserves. Our economy does not deserve to be doing that well right now. But it's because of stupid things like this where people are not making money and yet they're still spending at record highs. So we're going to keep moving on, but that is something that is very important to keep your eyes on over the next couple of months. Friday, tomorrow, we will get the Michigan consumer sentiment. That is usually proven to be pretty important. Last month, 69.5, 69.1 is the expectation, 70. So hopefully it comes in somewhere around that area. Let's move on, though, and keep looking on. So 97% still, guys. Again, I told you guys for right now, this is a positive sign. In fact, I told you guys, even though I still believe that we're going to see some lower prices, I think in the short term, next couple of days, maybe weeks or so, we're going to see move to the upside. 97% predicting we are going to get that pause. Now, it is interesting. I still think it's not until June. Let me check May real quick. Yeah, we're still predicting that the first rate cut will come in June. So that hasn't accelerated to the upside, but the confidence in no more rate hikes has increased for now. Let's see what happens in the next couple of months. Let's keep moving on, though. Liquidations. We have about 13 million liquidations for Bitcoin. 9.3 million of those were short liquidations, so we're moving to the upside. We're going to talk about that in the chart section. We got on the shorter time frames, higher highs and higher lows coming in, so bullish trends here versus only $3.68 million worth of long liquidations. Ethereum, 8.23 million short liquidations versus $1.4 million worth of longs. TRB coming in third place. Interesting. A lot of shorts there. Solana got a lot of short liquidations there, 2.11 million. And then, of course, others. Let's keep moving on, though. Let's take a look at Trueflation. Yesterday at 2.69%. Where are we this morning? Down. Oh, no, up. Wait, what the heck? I don't know why that's saying up, because didn't it just say 2.69? Now it's saying 2.62, yet it says we went up. So I don't really know why that is. But we're down this morning to 2.62% for Trueflation. Let's keep moving on here. Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index coming in this morning at 45. So we're technically still in the fear, but that's getting a little higher, even though the price of Bitcoin has not necessarily jumped that much higher. Again, looking at short-term bullish momentum, but watch as we start to move back towards 27, maybe get back up towards 28, maybe start pushing towards 29,000. Watch this tick over, not just into neutral, but start to get into the greed side. And then I think there is a bigger dip coming here later on in October. Let's keep an eye on that. Let's move on to the last part of our economic open. Then we're going to cover our big story of the day and then get into charts. CoinMarketCap opened this morning. Bitcoin, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Bitcoin has once again, not on CoinMarketCap, but over on TradingView, we'll take a look at that here in a little bit, is back above 50% dominance. Part of the reason why is in the last 24 hours, you can see Bitcoin was one of the bigger movers of the top coins. And those top coins are the ones that really help dictate where the Bitcoin dominance is. Bitcoin up 1.42% over the last 24 hours. Ethereum slightly outpaces it, but not by much, up 1.78%. Then you start to scroll on a lot of these others. Solana's up big, up over 4.5%. Tron up almost 2.5%. But then you have like Toncoin, of course, big day for Toncoin yesterday. This is a coin that is very interesting, and we're going to be covering a lot more here on the Investing Bros because it is just making a big ascension. But it's down today after a big day yesterday. But not a lot of big movers necessarily in the top 20. Let's see if there's any big movers outside of that. Axie Infinity up 20% in the last 24 hours. So something special definitely happened there. T-Shroom, if you know of anything I don't know of, let me know. But Decentraland is also up almost 7%. H-Bar, I want to take a look at the H-Bar chart today during technical analysis, up 5.5%. Thorchain up 5%. Sandbox is up. So we got some Web3 projects in here kind of moving to the upside. Solana, like we said, up 5%. Maybe we'll take a look at the Solana chart here as well. Here we go. DZ, are you having a party this morning? Because ApeCoin is up 4.62%.
There you go.
It is about time we get ApeCoin into the top movers of the day. Congratulations to DZ and everybody else that loves ApeCoin. Here we go. Biggest losers of the day, though. Compound. That was one that was up big yesterday. It is now down. It's on the red side, down 6% on the day. Clay is down 4.82. Flare down 3.82. Like we talked about Toncoin, down 3.43. Overall, not necessarily an overwhelmingly bearish day, but we do have some that are down there. Guys, that is all we have. Quick teaser, like we said, Bitcoin moving to the upside. If I were to even come down to the hourly chart, you guys can see these structures. We'll talk more in just a second, but look at those higher highs, higher lows. That's a bull trend. Will that trend continue? You're going to have to wait because, T-shirt, let's go to BroCam. We have a new flow where we're going to cover the top story first, and then we'll jump into the TA in just a second. If you guys are loving the show so far, though, smash that like button. I saw 170 people in chat, but we only have 43 likes. Got to get those likes up. Go ahead and smash them right now. T-Shroom, anything you want to say before we jump into the story?
God is good. Let's get into the story.
Amen.
All right, guys, before we get into the story, I guess I do have something I wanted to say. Before we get into the story, let me just show you guys something really cool. This is our YouTube channel, and you're already watching it. But if you go to the join button here and you give it a click, what will pop up is the different tiers for the Investing Bros YouTube membership. Yesterday, we went kind of through all of them broadly. Let's drill down into silver deeply. With silver, you get all the loyalty badges once you sign up. You start with green and you move on to purple. You also get all these awesome custom emojis, and they are custom. They're the most custom emojis on YouTube. I'll tell you that right now. And then you also get priority replying to comments, and also private Discord channels, Bro Time, and the Bro Time is 3 to 4 p.m. EST on Tuesdays and also Thursdays. So, but the one on Tuesday is the one that's on YouTube. Today, we have Bro Time on Discord, which you will gain access to as well if you sign up for silver. So today, we went over silver. Let me know in chat what tomorrow we should go over, which membership tier we should.
Not that many options, but that's
all right. Seriously, though, it would really help if you do enjoy our content and you've ever gotten some alpha or feel like you've learned something from us, or you just enjoy a chuckle and a giggle to see Crypto Trades chats or Eric Wallen's chats down there, then you may want to consider joining and becoming a member. It really helps us out and helps us grow and do more research. All right, guys. Well, speaking of research, Judge has allowed bankrupt FTX to sell its crypto holdings, including BTC and Solana. We're going to get into some of the details. We're going to also look at that chart of what crypto FTX actually has in their wallet. In a court hearing, Judge John Dorsey said that he approved the motion and overruled 2 objections that were made opposing the plan. This allows the bankrupt exchange to sell, stake, and hedge its crypto holdings, which is said to be worth more than $3.4 billion. Holy crap! I didn't realize it was that much. That's quite a bit. The attorney, and then the attorney. Something also that's important. Just because they won doesn't mean they're going to do it. But the attorney representing the ad hoc committee of FTX, it's kind of a disaster relief committee, like a damage control committee, led by this man, John J. Ray III, who also was the damage control for Enron and a couple other bankrupt entities that were doing a bunch of scams and stuff. They not only have gone to court to try to pursue the plan, they also still think it's a good idea. That's a good way to put it. The exchange also asked to hire Galaxy Digital's Mike Novogratz as an advisor. That's an important note there. I don't really know what that would mean. He's a smart guy, but could it also mean that Mike Novogratz is kind of representing, the crypto DeFi establishment to kind of know what's going to happen and what's going to, maybe notify some investors before maybe when they sell and what exactly they sell. But the other thing we got going on here too is the actual portfolio itself. It cuts off here at the end, but all this big bar is just other. It's just a miscellaneous, other crypto, which actually is pretty substantial. It makes up a big percentage of this overall. Let me get Tim moved over so you can kind of see relative to the other ones. The miscellaneous section is actually quite robust. So,
are those numbers what we're looking at right here, T-shirt? Are those numbers in terms of millions?
Well, I would imagine so. I would imagine so. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it all would add up to $3.5 billion, I believe.
So $685 million of Solana. Okay, that's a very interesting.
A lot of Solana. A lot of Solana.
Yeah.
And then the next biggest is FTX token. Obviously, they had a disproportionate amount of FTX token, which is now kind of a non-issue. If you still hold FTX token, FTT, good for you. You know, it's basically an NFT at this point. It's kind of an old meme. It's not really a thing anymore in terms of an actual utility token that it used to be. All right, and then they do have a decent amount of Bitcoin. I don't know. Would this rock the boat based on the liquidity numbers we see every day? If that all sold off in an instant, would
Well, they can't. So I don't know if you saw it in that article or not. So there's a rule that they can only sell a total of 100 million a week. And again, if we're ready to go and discuss this down, the big question here is, what is the disaster plan? Do you have anything you want to talk about the story, or we're going to go and jump into discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I've covered all the details that were glaringly important from the article for sure.
Yeah, I do think that, when I'm looking at that Solana number, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Solana. That's the one that I'm probably the most worried about. When it comes to the others, again, I still think there's going to be a dip coming. But here's what people should continue to keep their mind on, is that if there was going to be a big, big, big crash that happened because of this story, it would have happened by now. There's been plenty of time. I understand if it didn't happen within the first 5 minutes, but it's now been not quite 24 hours, but almost a full day, and the prices are really still going up. In fact, even Solana, we talked about it, Solana had one of the biggest moves to the upside. To me, I'm not saying that they won't sell, but I do think what you're gonna see is more of a sell into some pumps. And as you even covered in the article, while they have permission to start selling, and then the rule is they can only sell about $100 million worth a week, they're going to look for good rallies. And that's where I even think that concept of when they're saying, can we hire Mike Novogratz to come in and help? Are they potentially hiring him to come in and be the advisor for when they sell, so they can continue to try to make back as much money as possible? And again, they also don't have to sell. They also could decide, hey, we want to keep these certain assets here to continue to build because we believe in them long term. So there's a lot of what ifs with this story, but the thing that's starting off that I think people need to kind of calm down just a little bit, because there is some fear with this story. Calm down is saying, hey, guys, people sell in anticipation. The fact that we are not dipping in price right now means that there's more details out there than what we know. And secondly, again, they're going to sell into rallies. So what does that mean? I don't think that we're going to really look back on this and be able to blame FTX for a big dip. Like, again, I still think we're going sub 20,000. I think that's going to have way more to do with things happening economically, and way more to do with manipulative moves from institutions and whales and different entities that want to get more supply at lower levels. We're going to see FTX sell at pump. So what this is really doing is going to be keeping a cap on how much we rally. It probably will be a part of that manipulative play to go ahead and sell into every single rally that happens and stifle them out. So the question becomes, T-Shroom, how high do we get? Again, we had a great X Spaces last night. If you guys didn't listen to it, I recommend go back and listen to it. We had Crypto Savvy on, and people are very mixed on Crypto Savvy. Some people obviously love him. Some people dislike him very greatly. He's a very big bear. He still believes that we're going to be seeing sub $10,000. In fact, he talks about a $3,000 to $9,000 Bitcoin later on this year to end 2023. And then, well, other thing that people don't like, he does not believe this next cycle comes with a new all-time high. He thinks we have to wait until the following cycle. Now, like it, love it, hate it, whatever, it was still very informative, everything we talked about last night. But again, what we're looking at here as we're moving forward, and we're going to talk about this when we get into the charts as well, is watch for manipulative moves for institutions to continue to pick up more. I disagree with the price action that Savvy brought, but I completely agree with timing, with logic, and with explanation of moves in the market. I just disagree with the degrees of moves. I still believe we are sitting and hitting new all-time highs this next bull market. And you know what? That's completely fine to disagree with people. It's completely fine to have different opinions. In fact, if anyone agrees with me, that's great. I love it. I love when people come into chat and say, you know what, Tim, I disagree with that take. I actually think X is going to happen, because that means that you're thinking for yourself. And let's remember, guys, we talk about this pretty regularly. When T-Shroom and I started Investing Bros, we started because we had a good community. We felt like we want to continue to grow with them, but also it's because our main purpose is not for you guys to come in and just listen to us and just follow everything we say blindly, but it's to be a community that works together, thinks together, offers different ideas so that all of us can continue to climb and grow our financial journey. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I want you thinking for yourself. I want you not having to rely on the opinions of others, but having all the information, data, and wisdom yourself to make your own financial decisions. Ultimately, guys, is that not what crypto and Bitcoin was created for in the first place? Was that not Satoshi's thoughts? Is that I'm tired of the centralized systems controlling, manipulating, and hurting people. I want people to be able to think for themselves and create their own value, their own wealth. If you go in and watch any YouTube channel or any financial advisor and follow them blindly, I think you're missing out on a real opportunity to better yourself for the long-term future. You know, I'm seeing some chat here. Let's see, engage. I want to hear your guys' thoughts here.
There was a
Piper says most people buy and sell in the wrong place. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Yeah, B10X said 50% of SOL is staked. They can only release 50% over 2 years. So as Tim said, there is limitations to what FTX is going to be able to sell, both by the systems in the respective blockchains, but also by the courts. You know, they're not going to be able to just dump it all tomorrow if they, you know, the courts, for all intents and purposes, in my perspective, they have the go ahead to sell now, right? But the thing is like they can't just sell all of it all at once. Is the understanding both from the chat and from kind of what we're learning here this morning. So.
Yeah. Well, and as we're wrapping this up, we're about to go into charts. And right now, even I'm watching my chart. Bitcoin is moving up, and it just kissed 26,700. So we're going to talk about that here in a second. But I want to kind of wrap this up by kind of saying, here, guys, like, listen, the whole title was, is this news going to plummet crypto prices? My short answer, in my personal opinion, is no. I don't think it is. And wrapping up, you know, the other thing, you know, I see some people in here say they don't like Crypto Savvy. Here's the thing, guys. You don't have to like every single person. I do heavily recommend, though, you know, if people disagree with someone's take, I'm a big fan of following people that I agree with and hearing, you know, what they think and then kind of formulating my opinions also kind of around some things they say. But I also love listening to people I disagree with, because you never know what you can learn from a person you disagree with. Best case scenario, and this is what I mean, best case scenario, you actually hear something that you would never take it into consideration. And even if you don't completely agree with everything they're saying, you're like, that was an interesting factoid. That was an interesting point. I wasn't aware of that. I'm going to improve my knowledge with that. Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario, you disagree with everything they say, and what they say actually helps you formulate your opinion better and understand better how to argue with or debate people that have the similar opinion. It is impossible to know how to debate someone well and make valid points if you don't even understand where they're coming from. So that's kind of my philosophy. The reason I listen to people that I disagree with is because best case scenario, I learn something from them. Worst case scenario, I learn something for myself in an easy way to defeat what I think are bad opinions. So that's all I'm going to say there. Love you guys. Again, 160 people in chat right now. Smash that like button. T-Shroom, let's jump into the charts. But real quickly, do we have trivia of the day, or the elves taking the day off?
No, the elves came in full force today. They've got a trivia question you're going to love. Before we get to it, Piper, safe travels, my man. He's headed down to Mexico to have a little vacation, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's take a look at today's factoid and see what's cooking. The NFL team. What NFL team has the most Super Bowl wins ever? Tim, this should be right up your alley. The choices are the New England team. The Patriots.
The Patriots.
The Pittsburgh footballers.
The Steelers.
The Dallas Horseyback Riders.
All right, there we go.
Or the San Francisco Gold Rushers.
There we go. Yeah. That's actually good. I'm pretty sure it's New England. Although San Francisco and Pittsburgh are definitely up there, Dallas is not. So I can tell you guys right now, C is eliminated. Dallas is not in this running.
Get it out.
They've won Super Bowls, but nowhere near as much as the other three teams. I could be wrong, but I do believe A, B, and D are the top three. But I still want to lean to. I'm not going to go New England. Actually, I'm going to go. Man, I remember watching San Francisco in a Super Bowl, and it was something about like if they won that game, they'd have the most.
Yeah. Well, we got a very nice chat from Faden Tradfi. Said, "Morning, my bros. This is my new morning show, fellas. Keep it up. I'm loving it." You gotta love that. We
Thank you
appreciate
so much, Fade and Tri-Fi.
We
Man,
appreciate
I'm
it.
like talking myself in and out of this. This Eric Wallen says, "Come on, Tim, this is your moment." It is my moment, but
This elf is stumping you today, huh?
I want to. I'm gonna go with New England. I'm gonna go with New England.
Good job, little elf.
Pittsburgh and San Fran are definitely up there, but I'm gonna go with New England. Brady did some great things for that city, and those weren't their first Super Bowl.
He's locking it in.
I'm gonna lock
He's
in. I'm locking the Patriots. All right, let's do this. Good trivia question right there. Let's get into the charts, guys. Again, we talked about it earlier. Bitcoin setting higher highs and higher lows. I want to take a look. We're on the 1 hour chart right now. This morning it was not overextended, but yeah, here we go. Good structure going on right now. Let me even full screen this one. I was a little concerned because earlier this morning there was a little bit of a trend. It was stuck with these oscillators right here. You can see where that bearish divergence was formed. I was wondering, were we going to be able to break through and move to the upside? And we were definitely. So I'm loving that. And you're also going to notice when I zoom out here, while we did have a red reversal back on this peak back here, and we'll go back to the price action, and we peaked out really nicely. Got a nice call from the Chart Prime oscillators, which, by the way, shout out to Chart Prime, the sponsor of our charts, the greatest trading indicator out there. Go check them out. 45% off your first month or quarter with our link. That's the best deal you have out there. No one can beat it. So if you guys are looking to trade and you guys are looking for indicators, here's the thing. I use these indicators even when I'm not trading. I use these for my long-term buys and sells as well. So even if you're not a trader and you just want access to amazing places to know when to buy and when to sell for swing trading, this is a beautiful indicator for it.
It is.
Go check it out with our link. All right, so we're moving to the upside, but we're not overextended. We are getting above our over, bought prices. So, we're above 70 on the RSI. Anytime you go above 70, you're starting to pump the brakes. I'm not recommending anybody enter a new long at this moment, because guess what? We're coming up on some pretty strong resistance right here. Let's go out to the 4 hour chart, where we're definitely not going to have anything overbought yet if we're not even getting on the hourly chart. But we're getting close up to this $27,000 level. I've told you guys, this is what I want to kind of watch and see. Volume isn't necessarily anything crazy high right now. Of course, this last 4 hour candle is starting to pick up. Let me go back to the 1 hour chart. Let's see. Nothing crazy. It's picking up here a little bit, but nothing crazy. And that's to be expected. The volume is going to increase if we want to break through 27,000. So watch for potential a wick that comes above 27 and see if the volume on smaller time frames starts to pick up with a lot of acceleration, because that would be the bulls having that momentum to break through that resistance and start moving back up to where we've kind of talked about this before. Back here in August, I thought we were going higher towards 28,600. We didn't make it there. We wicked out around 28.2. So I said, okay, I was a little off on this. But now that we're making a re-emergence, I'm starting to think, was I right just too early? Are we going to start coming back up here, hitting 28.6, maybe a wick up towards 29,000? Let's take a look at some other indicators here in just a second. But if we break through 27, that is what I'm going to be looking at. Some other things I want to take a look at here before we pull up other indicators for Chart Prime. Let's just take a look at fixed range volume profile in this smaller area. You will see another very bullish thing. After coming back down here yesterday, kind of retesting our point of control, we are currently breaking through the value area high right here that we've had since the big dip back on August 17th. So that's very important. Let's take a look at what happens when we kind of zoom out, maybe all the way back to that March rally we had, end of March, or no, that was beginning of March rally. Yeah, it's not a lot. Holy cow. We're coming back above the point, the value area high all the way at 30,000. I could be wrong. I don't think that's going to come back in the equation. I don't think that we're going back up all the way to 30,000 in this rally. Could be wrong, but I just don't see that happening. Let's take a look at some other things here. Pulling up our other indicators from Chart Prime, starting off right here. Another reason why 27 could be interesting is because we don't always pull this one up, but I brought it up today because it is very relevant. We're coming back up into this red cloud. Don't have to stop right where it touches. So we easily, you guys can see, we're starting to move back to the upside. We could make a push back up here as this red cloud continues to the upside. By the way, just kind of playing this out the way it's going, it's looking like the cloud's going to look something like this. We could easily have the price come up here, get to the top of this cloud, get overextended, and then that's our move to the downside. So keep an eye on that. But that's another thing. We're getting up towards that resistance cloud. However, Let's see, control. Is this nope. Yep, there you go. Got to use the right buttons here. That's something that's going to definitely be something to keep a factor on. We broke through our 4-hour dynamic reactor. That is good. That is turned bullish. We slightly had it bullish back here on the 29th of August, but could not hold it, turned it back into resistance very quickly. So let's watch, even if there's a small retracement, even if we bounce at 27 and come back down the downside, watch to see, can we keep this dynamic reactor on the 4-hour chart? Can we keep that looking as a form of support rather than a form of resistance? Let's pull that down. Let's take a look at some of these other things. Another reason why we probably could see a higher push is we got some order blocks up here. And this is one of those things that it's almost like a small cheat sheet. When you see order blocks somewhere, you're really looking and saying, all right, there's a lot of liquidity up there that more than likely people want to go up and take some profit. So that's another reason we had order blocks all the way up towards that 28.2, because those were what left open after this peak we had back on August 29th. Again, I think we fill those, go just a hair higher up here towards 28.6, turn all of this former support level back into resistance, and then we move to the downside. But remember, again, we're also kind of finding the strong support. This is something I actually didn't even look at the other day. It's very important. When we broke through, don't want my drawing tool. When we broke through 25.2, we caught ourselves on this lowest level of support back here at 24,980. Yes, technically a wick kind of went through, but no candles on the 4-hour chart closed below that. Remember, we talked about that before. This is one of the other really cool things about Chart Prime is these multi-time frame support and resistance zone. We had just a buttload. There's just 4 different levels, 2 of them the strongest levels of support. We just bounced off that grouping. We're kind of in a zone where there's nothing all the way up until where? Well, up here towards 28,600. So just one more reason why I think there's a good chance that we kind of faked out the first time, didn't quite get where we really could go, and then after one more move to the downside, retesting support, we broke up here. Again, today I'm going to keep it positive, guys. I think we're moving to the upside. I'm seeing a lot of positive signs. In fact, even when we go out to the daily chart, let's pull up the oscillators, because I love the oscillators. As much as I love other indicators as well, I'm an oscillator guy. They are my favorites. Watching us break through these mid-levels on these oscillators after these bottoming out signals on the daily chart did tell us these were good buys with oversold and bullish divergences playing out just every single dip. I think there's a good chance, guys, we are seeing maybe even the rest of September be more bullish than bearish. Maybe we end up seeing, I kind of hinted at this, do we see a green September before another red October? I knew at least one of them was going to be red, but it looks like September could have a decent chance at closing out green. The problem is, though, is that right after that, I think that October will turn red, and then let's see what November does. That's one thing that I was in disagreement with Savvy on yesterday. He kind of gave us more of a bottom signal somewhere around December. I think we're looking at late October, early November is when I think we're going to see a bottoming out effect, and then the rest of 2023 into those holidays. Again, we have Thanksgiving later in November, Christmas in December. I think you're actually going to see the prices rally into those things. That's pretty normal to see stuff like that, but watch out for that. Again, my personal opinion, we're talking about bottom levels down here towards 19.7. Savvy talked about levels all the way down sub $10,000. Let me know in chat, do you think that this 25,200, we got below 25,000, but let's just call it 25,000. Let me know in chat, do you think 25,000 that we hit here in September, was that the lowest we're going to see Bitcoin again, or do you expect another lower level than that? What is that price level, and when do we see it? Flood the chat with your calls on that. Let's take a look at some other things. I said I wanted to take a look at HBAR, and that's what we're going to do, but let me turn off some confusion here first, make sure it's all good. All right, let's go to HBAR. HBAR, again, was moving this morning here. What am I on? The 4-hour chart. Let's take a look out here. It's been a minute since we did some HBAR TA. We did get, after, a couple months ago, we broke out of a falling wedge pattern, almost hit our price prediction, but didn't quite get there. Now, though, we're on a fresh rally here over the last day and some change. Is this rally going to continue? Let's pull up our oscillators. 4-hour chart is not necessarily looking very good, guys. We are getting an overbought flash. You're not seeing that same flash happen on Bitcoin. In fact, let me take a look at some other altcoins. Do we seeing that on Ethereum? Give it just a second because everything's got to load. Great indicator. Just got to load here for just a second. Nope, we're not seeing Ethereum flashing overbought. I think Ethereum, look at that, Ethereum back up into that box we kind of talked about before. Watch the top of it, but that could be very interesting. Cardano, are we seeing an overflash? I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, we're probably not. Looking at the RSI being super low. Again, I'm watching this falling blue line, that falling level of resistance. Let's see XRP. What was XRP saying? I'm going to go ahead and predict that we're not going to see an overbought flash here on XRP, seeing it that RSI that popped up super low. No, it's not. So, when we're looking at some other top altcoins, HBAR having a great run, but just like we talked about before, sometimes when you see a coin be at the top of a green day one day, a lot of times you see it maybe in the red. Not saying HBAR can't regroup and continue the upside, but I do expect HBAR to be cooling off here for just a little bit. Let's take a look at the hourly chart, see what it is saying. High volume with that rise, but some of that volume might have also been coming in towards the end of this candle where people started taking some profits. Yeah, a lot of overboughts, bearish divergence is happening here. We're coming back down towards the midline, so maybe we regroup and do something. But as a whole, I'm looking at HBAR. Had a great last day, but might be a good spot if you were in a trade to take some profits. Let's take a look at some other indicators, though, not just our oscillators. Let's pull up some other things. Kind of coming in here, we got that reversal flash on the 4-hour chart. This is another really cool thing about Chart Prime, by the way, guys, in case you've never seen or heard of Chart Prime. One of the reasons why it's my favorite, and I've used a lot of different indicators out there, a lot of other indicators are more of confirming trend indicators, whereas what I love about what Chart Prime does is it gives you some predictions. Look at what's happening here. Not only do we get that overbought flash on the oscillators, we got this nice reversal flash, which these are very, very good at calling tops and bottoms. We're bouncing and rejecting right there on the 4-hour dynamic reactor. Remember, I talked about the significance of that over on Bitcoin. I'm seeing a couple different things kind of saying, guys, it might be time. We kissed up into that red cloud, and that red cloud still moving the downside. There's several things that I'm seeing saying it might be a little bit of a cool off coming for HBAR. Bouncing off of the second most powerful 4-hour resistance level. We do have some good support right below us. This was a level of resistance, this strong 12-hour level right here at about 5 cents. We broke through that. Now, can we turn that into support? That would be very bullish for HBAR, and that would give me some hope if we can hold that maybe we get to watch a regrouping activity happen, and then HBAR moves to the upside. But we do have an order block all the way down here towards 4.6 cents that if the bears kind of regain control, I'm going to be watching that. Could be a very interesting spot to watch. But HBAR, again, great day. But if you're looking for a new entry point, I think it's time to just kind of hold, wait, and see if we get some regrouping happening there. What time do we have right now? 9:38. There's not necessarily a whole lot of other stories. So what we might do, T-Shroom.
Oh, no, there's a bunch more stories.
Oh, we do have a bunch of stories. Well, let's do this. Let's switch back over into some stories. You guys put some coins you would love to see some TA on this morning. And if we have time at the end, maybe we'll go back and do some more TA. But I also, I want to read chat here for a second, T-Shroom, before we jump in and see what other people are saying. Nancy Croy says New England as well. So, Nancy, if we go down together. Crypto Trade says, TA Tim, can you update your indicator, though, play? Yeah, I did see there was an indicator. I'll update those later this afternoon, and we'll see those tomorrow. I saw that like late last night, and it just slipped my brain this morning that there's an update there. Let's see. What else do we have? HBAR just released a stablecoin project, playa. Okay, cool. And guess what? Sometimes if there's a story that supersedes the TA, that's great. What I'm seeing, though, at the moment from the TA is that it looks like the momentum is slowing down. So we'll have to continue to wait on that. Also, like right now, stablecoins, I think stablecoins are still a big part of the future. I don't know if a stablecoin update is the biggest headline right now for a pump in price action. Let's see. TJ's Chicken Salad says Crow. What else do we have? Eric Wallen, that's right. He says he lives in Pittsburgh. I forgot. He did tell me that. Eric Wallen, is it Pitt? Well, you're not a football fan, so even if you live in Pittsburgh, you probably still don't know the answer to it.
Tim, my vote is Naka for the altcoin TA.
Okay.
Naka is Nakamoto Games, I'm pretty sure, and that's one of the ones that Crypto Archie's been big on for a while.
Interesting. French Toaster said, Tim, can you explain the difference between EMA and SMA? Yes. It's funny. It's been a long time since I don't really use EMAs that often. I usually, when I'm doing moving averages, I'm doing simple moving averages, which is SMA. EMA is exponential moving average. SMA is simple moving average. So I can't remember the exact number when you look at them, but when you pull up a chart, what you're looking at is 200 SMA, for example. That's this blue line. whatever level it's at, it's taking the last 200 candles, in this case on the 4-hour chart, or if I were to go to the daily chart, let's go to the daily chart because everyone loves using the daily chart for this.
I know I do.
It's taking into account the last 200 candles. What was the average price? Just simple. We don't care about momentum or anything. Just take the last 200 candles, which would be, let's see, right here. If I were to go 200, oh, I'm going back really far. My screen's not even all the way over there. 200 would be going back all the way. Come on now. Right. Boom. Right there. That's the date of February of 2023. So if you were to go from this period to this period, that blue line is the average. When it takes every candle's price action into account, the average price is sitting right here at, on this is H bar, so 5 cents, 5.6 cents, right? So that is the simple moving average. Exponential moving average, the word exponential meaning it's gonna just like log, it's gonna take into other things into account. An exponential moving average would take into account, you can go back to Brocam now, T-Shroom, not just the average price of every 200 candles, but it takes more into account the most recent candles. And I don't know what that number is. I don't know if it's like the last 10, last 20, last 50, but it takes more recent movement is a bigger point to it. So it's almost like saying, like, yes, the last 200 candles, if we're looking at 200 EMA, the last 200 candles with this kind of average price, but recently we're really moving momentum to the upside or the downside. So it's going to tick a little bit more in that direction. Again, I'm a fan of the SMA. I found very valuable to look at SMA. It's not valuable to look at EMA. I just don't look at it as often, but hopefully French Toaster, that explains that enough that you kind of understand. That's why they're similar, but a little different. EMA takes into account recent price action a lot more heavily, and SMA is just simple. It's just, nope, I don't care what happened recently or past. What is the last 200 days? That's what our average price is. Good question.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump in here. First of all, let's find out the answer to this trivia question, and then let's jump into our other stories.
Yes, let's do it. Let's get into the trivia question here, Tim. The answer to the trivia question is... Oh, that is the wrong sound effects.
We're not sharing the screen either, so.
Should probably never try to do sound effects ever again. It's a trick question, guys. It was A and B. New England and Pittsburgh are tied for 6 wins each. According to Wikipedia, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots both have 6 wins, but I will say the Pittsburgh has less losses in the Super Bowl. Boston has 5 losses. New England has 5 losses. I don't know why Wikipedia says Boston/New England, but I mean, it's in Boston.
Okay.
Let's not go down that rabbit trail.
The only surprise here is that San Francisco, I thought San Francisco had more than Dallas. Okay. I didn't know Dallas was tied with San Francisco for that.
Yeah.
But all right. So it's kind of, it is a trick question. Yeah. And I remember there being a Super Bowl where there was trivia about Pittsburgh being up there and close to winning the most.
Yeah,
but
Pittsburgh got a lot of wins back in the 70s, or at least they were in the Super Bowl a lot in the 70s. And then New England kind of dominated in the early 2000s and late.
Brady did some good work for them. Here's what I will say, and sorry to any of our Boston or Pittsburgh fans, but Pittsburgh and New England are in no position anytime soon to be adding to those Super Bowl wins. San Francisco, on the other hand, they got a team put together out there. Let's see if they can do something. But I'm not that number. They're not going to break their tie anytime soon. Soon. So yeah.
Well, even though we are a sports show, we're going to get into some crypto. So let's go ahead and dive into that. The next story here is really not even a story. It comes from Pomp. It's a tweet. The inflation-adjusted median household income in America has been falling for 3 years. Not good. I don't know if you've been tracking this at home, but maybe you've been feeling it in your bank account. But so folks are earning less adjusted to inflation, and it's not good. Nick Diamandi had an interesting tweet here, said, all according to plan. So pretty funny there. And if you go to the official stlouisfed.org website, you can see this confirmed that indeed this goes back to 86, back to when Pittsburgh was good. But you can kind of see that there's been a stark decline here recently over the last 3 years specifically. So Tim, we have more stories, but if you wanted to speak briefly to this.
I was going to say this is what I was looking for earlier when we were referencing it, but going back to the PPI numbers and the retail sales numbers in relation to this, again, so people are still spending money. Things are still getting more expensive to produce. So prices are going up. People are still spending high money, and yet people's incomes are dropping. Now, their number might be dropping, but again, with inflation, it's getting pretty rough what you're actually being paid.
It is. And then there was another tweet here from Watcher.guru, said U.S. Congressman introduces bill to ban the Federal Reserve from creating a CBDC. So that's a good thing. That's Representative Tom Emmer, Republican of Minnesota, Majority Whip. So he's been in the crypto news for quite some time, and now he's getting his big showcase there on C-SPAN 2. Boy, what I would give to be on C-SPAN 2 one day. Crypto miners debate 500K Bitcoin fee refund to Paxos. That's right, a fee refund. It's the first time I've heard of it, and probably the first time for you as well. This is the result of a Paxos fat finger error. Let's go ahead and get into some of the details, and then Tim and I, we're going to have a little bit of debate. We'll also see what you guys say in the chat. A Bitcoin fee is what a user pays to miners or entities who maintain the network to get their transaction included in the blockchain. The more a user pays, the higher the chance their transaction will be picked up immediately, as miners are prioritized bigger payouts. Let's see. Paxos likely reached out to Stakefish. Stakefish is where you can track where this fee went, but Stakefish is a big platform. Paxos likely reached out to Stakefish to claim the fees, but in a Thursday post on X, Stakefish's Wang suggested the claim was made after the initial deadline, citing time zone differences. So it gets complicated with like this time zone thing. That's not great, but there was a Twitter poll that was put up by Chung, and he's a Stakefish employee or staff of some kind, maybe even CEO. I'm not really sure, but his tweet is, again, it gets kind of sidetracked with the whole time zone thing. But he said, "I was annoyed and regretted agreeing to refund that 20 BTC." That $500,000, especially when I saw the person claiming it kept saying EST instead of a different time zone. Last time a Zcash guy did that, I blocked his entire company. Okay, so it looks like, according to this, it seems like there's been at least folks reaching out to try and recover fees before, like error entered fees. But here is what kind of the consensus is of what they should do. 35% of people who voted in this poll, which is the majority, said that they should just distribute that $500,000 to the miners, to the rest of the miners, and then a pretty close second is refund Paxos the full total, and then go 50-50 or just freeze it. So like throw it into the ether. So Tim, I want to throw it to you. What would you do of these? And maybe you have a different solution, or do you have another thought on this completely?
Well, the first thing I would say is that this is not the greatest look for crypto. I was talking with Kelly Kellum this morning. It looks like this was a bug that affected that. That was the question. It's like, how in the world on such a small transfer did the fee get so crazy? It was a bug, right? So it was something that wasn't great, and it's not going to spark joy with any person watching this. But it's not something you should be heavily worried about. But when it comes to what I think he should do, there's a difference between what he's allowed to do and what he should do. And he should not be punished for doing anything, because that's another thing, is this is the Wild West and things happen. And if there's became legal action to say you have to refund this, then there becomes a control factor that completely defeats the purpose of decentralized currency, right? So legally, I don't think anything is required. I think if he wants to keep it or do whatever he wants with it, that is completely up to him. What he should do, if I was him, I would refund it. I would go ahead and refund it. Obviously, it was a mistake. Obviously, it was a bug. I think that would be the moral, proper thing to do. But at the same time, I'm not sitting in a spot where I would love for there to be like a required, you have to do this, because then you open up a whole new area of control that we do not want to see enter into Bitcoin. So that's my personal opinion. Yep. Morally, I would return it.
Yep. So you have the options are this, distribute to miners, refund it the full total, go 50-50, or just freeze it. Here's my take, guys. I really think that the right thing to do here, let's say you walk into a sporting goods store, you want to buy a soccer ball, but you hand them $100 bill and then you walk out. And the soccer ball is only worth $20, right? That was the cost. And you come back later, and you're like, hey, I was really stoned or something, and I gave you $100 bill. Could I have that money back? More than likely, if the guy remembers you and maybe they have it on camera, they're going to give you your money back, right? That's kind of the social expectation. Maybe it's different in your country and you're watching and listening right now, and you would not agree with that. But at least in America, Southeast, where I live, that's probably what would happen 9 times out of 10. So I think that crypto and payments can't really be any different. Like there does need to be that same expectation of a refund. What I do agree with you, Tim, is that there should not necessarily be a mandate. I think that it should still operate on the honor system to some extent in that aspect of it. Because if I walk back into that sporting goods store and ask for my $100 bill back, I think that the guy does, the clerk, the store clerk does have an argument to say, you handed me a $100 bill and you walked out of my store, I owe you nothing. That is still a legitimate argument as well. But I think in Western polite society, you would issue the refund and say, hey, man, stop smoking so much weed and get your life together. And don't, you know what I mean? Anyway, all right. So moving along here, don't be such a fat-fingered freak and, keep making these errors.
Well, no, and that's the thing, T-Shirt. Again, what I was talking about this morning with Kelly, I don't actually know if there was a person error. There was a bug. Yeah.
It's an expensive bug. Expensive bug.
It is. And again, and it's all the more reason, like I said, to me, returning it is not only the moral thing to do, it's the right thing for cryptocurrency to keep it, be like, hey, there are good players here. We're not just out here as scammers and fraudsters and yada, yada. Like, hey, there was clearly a bug. It was outside of their control. The receipts are all there. The evidence is there. Return the money. Like, do the right thing. Keep crypto in a positive light and return it.
Silverman 183 said, do the right thing, yes, but should not be forced. Yeah, that's kind of where I think most people would agree with. Elo Brown says it's different in Canada. I bet it is. All right, guys, we got other important stories here. We'll go through them pretty quickly with the last couple minutes here. Polygon releases proposal on 2.0 upgrade and POL token migration. The details here are pretty simple, but this is a big project, and most of you are probably DCA'd into Matic, which is why I wanted to bring it up to you. The PIP 17 is to ensure that no action will be required from end users and developers to implement the new POL token. And then PIP 19 ensures maximum backward compatibility will not alter smart contracts on Polygon. So they're changing the token to POL. There's some deeper implications of that, but for the most part, I'm bringing this to your attention so that you're not shocked when that POL ticker comes up where Matic used to be for you. So I don't know when that's going to drop, when that change is going to be put in, but those are the proposed changes, and I don't think they've been voted on quite yet. Those are just the accepted changes that they're willing to look into. Moving on. Crypto traders grow bearish as Aptos plans 100 million APT token unlock in November. Again, not much insight here other than just to bring it to your attention. There's a big unlock for Aptos coming. That's inflationary, right? And then the last one here, we can talk about it. We don't have to. But 47% of Americans say achieving retirement security will take a miracle, and why inflation is to blame. We won't get into the details, but Tim, are you feeling good about your retirement? Are you ready to retire at 65 or whatever?
What does retirement even look like? It's one of those things that I think I saw a report that was like the average millennial is going to need like $3 million now with life expectancy now increasing a little bit, and then with inflation, everything else. I remember having a conversation with my dad where he kind of implied that when he was younger, if he'd had $1 million, he could have gone the rest of his life without working. And now it's like you'd make it a couple of years. I don't know. Do I feel good about where my retirement plan is? No, because I don't even know at this point what we should be planning for. I feel good about my crypto portfolio, and part of my crypto portfolio is planning for my retirement. But I'm also the type of person, I just watched it too much. Like, I think there'll be an age where I stop doing things that I necessarily have to do to create income, but I want to continue to work and challenge my mind as long as possible. I've just seen so many people around me in life that they're brilliant men or women that retired, took the easy route, went, relaxed with a mojito, and they went to the beach. And then you just see them very quickly go downhill from 5 years before they're brilliant top thinkers of their space. And then out of nowhere, they're really struggling to remember what they had for breakfast or something. And it's one of those things when you stop using a tool, gets degraded. When you stop using your mind and you start challenging yourself and thinking, it gets degraded. So I would love, for as long as I can, to continue to be working in some way or another. Now, whether or not it's, for financial need, hopefully that's not the need to continue into like my 80s, but I would love to be 80 years old and still helping grow some sort of company or do something in business world that challenges me every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, there's that aspect of it, but one day you'll be like, even in a best case scenario, you'll still be like 90 years old and you will be dependent, right? I think a lot of what the answer to this question is you're going to be moving in with your kids. Retirement will look like dependency. It won't be financial freedom for a lot of people. Now, in the crypto space, it seems like there's some hope that could change as we invest in these non-inflationary assets, right? But for the rest of America, who rightfully so have looked at crypto and been like, I've got other stuff that I need to worry about. Who knows? Are they going to be able to even reach $1 million in net assets before they have to become dependent? I don't know. And then can they depend on that $1 million? I'm not sure. So there's going to be a lot of questions. But I think what it looks like is there's a lot of cultures out there that are way more impoverished than the United States. And they're kind of, I don't know if they're further down on the timeline of their country's inflation history and like how bad their economy is, or if they just never got to industrialization quite like the United States and the West did. But the model there is that when you get to a certain age or a certain level of inability to take care for yourself, you just move back in with your kids. Right, and that's baked into the social expectation. That's the mother-in-law suite. At one point, that mother-in-law suite, wasn't a suite. It was part of your house. It was the third bedroom, right? And then Americans became very wealthy, and then that became a meme of like the mother-in-law suite. Oh, you can afford a whole nother house on your property to house grandma. Anyway, how am I feeling about my retirement? I'm feeling okay. I've taken some pretty strategic decisions. I'm not yet 30. I've taken some pretty strategic decisions to cut costs. I think that's what you can do in this economy is keep your costs really low. Is buying a 2018 vehicle versus a 2010 vehicle really in your interest in the final analysis? You get what do you really get for that? So anyway, that I think the cost side is something you can control, and then obviously doing your research and investing in non-inflationary assets. Real estate used to be a good option, and if you're savvy, it still can be. But I think that option is a little bit sketchy too, with how inflated shelter seems to be, those shelter costs. So anyway, hopefully you got a nice little pessimistic end here to the Investing Bros show.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. We did get over 100 likes, so I'm gonna read a couple names here, and then I'm gonna start closing out shows with something. I was thinking about this last night, T-Shroom. We're the Investing Bros. We're sitting here. We want to help people with money. We want to help people understand the crypto markets and others as well. In the future, we'll talk more about stocks when there's a good time to talk about stocks, and we'll talk about real estate and other things. But it was dawning on me, T-Shroom, like in their community, I want us to just grow as a whole group of people that aren't just financially doing well, but as humans, we are doing well. And I think it would just be the worst thing in the world if people fix their money problems, but avoid and ignore all the other problems in their life. So I want to start like closing out with thoughts of the day, but let's read some names here in chat and then we'll close it out. Elo Brown, shout out to Elo Brown, which by the way, guys, Elo is the GOAT. Like, I love him so much. Every single day he posts this link.
He does.
Over on his Twitter. He is the most faithful person at doing that. It is awesome. Thank you so much. And shout out to Elo Brown. We love you very much. Silverman 183. So good to have you here. Drew P is here saying, start a charity company that repairs and sells at a discount. That's a good idea. Gonzo Lag. Good to have you here. Jimbo the Wrestler is here. Eric Wallen, French Toaster, Bedridden, Gia S, Sativio Shimoto, Crypto AI is here. Matt C. Can't ever miss Matt C. Love having him in here. A couple other names and we'll close out the show. Let's see here. Brokoshi No Dinero, Red Elephant is here. Faden Tradfi, and I'll read two more. Lewis B. and we got TJ's chicken salad. Thank you to each and every single last one of you for being here. Now, as we close out the show, it was a thought that kind of crossed my mind. I need people to remember, in a day right now where we live in a world where there's so much hurt and so much pain and suffering and people just attacking each other left and right, it's good to pause and remember that the only people that hurt people are hurt people. I'm sure you guys have heard that before. Hurt people. But the point that I'm bringing this up in is to remember there's a difference between forgiveness and relationship and reconciliation. There's a difference between empathy and sympathy. There's a difference here. And I'm not saying that every single person in your life that has hurt you, you need to just blindly just reconnect with and say, you know what, whatever, we're going to keep moving forward. No, there are people in your life that will do things to you that you can forgive, because forgiveness is actually just you releasing them. But that doesn't mean reconciliation happens. But it also helps when you think about when someone hurts you. My first thought is usually, what a jerk, what a terrible person. I hate them. I don't want anything to do with them. But what if we as people started feeling and thinking through, man, I just got hurt by this person. I wonder what's going on in their life. I wonder what is happening to them that has caused them to get to such a desperate place in their life that they feel the only thing they can do is go and attack others. That doesn't mean we have to stay close to them. That doesn't mean we have to keep them in our lives and keep the toxicity, but it is something to bring in empathy into your life and to say, is there anything I can do to bless and help other people? Because I know the way they are lashing out right now is a symptom of some deep trauma and hurt that has happened to them. We've got to start thinking about things like this. The thing that keeps us human and keeps us different than animals and other things is the fact that we have the ability to continue to build emotional bonds and to work on forgiveness and empathy towards other people. I encourage all of you guys today to think heavily in your life. Who is somebody that has attacked you recently? Is there a way that you can love them, pray for them, bless them? Is there a way that you can understand maybe where they're coming from? When you start to think like that and the person you become because of that, you don't only change yourself, you change every single person around you. And the ultimate goal we all want every single person on this planet to live a life of peace and joy and happiness. But that doesn't happen if we just attack every single person that attacks us. That's the thought of the day, guys. You guys have a fantastic day. We'll see the gold members today at 3 p.m. for our bro time. The rest of you will see you tomorrow for our Friday show. Love you guys. Have a great day.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.